What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Cameron, and today I'm going to be showing all of you guys how to add an extras menu to your 5 Minutes of Freddy's fan game. So an extras menu, we all know it. It's in pretty much every 5 Minutes of Freddy's fan game, in every FNaF game pretty much. It's basically just a menu that you can unlock once you beat the game, which shows you the animatronics, some behind the scenes look, and just basically shows you how the progression of the game actually went throughout its development. So I don't really like extra menus per se. Like in my personal opinion, I just don't really care for them. But I know a lot of people like extras menu and they kind of want to add it into their game to kind of show off how they made the game without really showing off how they made the game. Yeah, or really how I like to think about it is, if you're on GameJolt and you're like, all right, here's a behind the scenes look of the game, but it shows off like for example, like a boss fight for your game. Obviously you don't want to spoil the boss fight, so it's cool to kind of have like a behind the scenes in the game in the extras menu, so that once you beat the boss fight, you can actually see it. I don't know why I'm going so in depth into it. We might as well just get straight to it. Very tired. There are some guinea pigs right next to me. They may make some loud noises. I apologize for that. So anyway, let's do this. So the first thing we want to do is we actually want to insert our new frame for our extras menu. So we're going to go over and to our application, right click, new frame, and we're just going to title this extras menu. I don't know when the last time we inserted a new frame was. It's been forever now. And obviously, once you have your extras menu, we're not quite going to do anything in it right now. What I want to do first is I actually want to go back to the menu and make it so that we can actually click on to the extras string right here, so it takes you to the extra menu. And this is pretty easy. Now, if you follow my tutorial series, you'll know that in the first tutorial we already added a toggle to the string. But if you didn't add a toggle to your string, all you do is you insert a new object. You go insert object, active, make it big so that it covers over your extra string, and then just paint it whatever color you want, and it's pretty much as easy as that. So once you have that, go over to your event editor, and then we are going to go right click, insert a group of events, and we're going to title this extra menu toggle. And obviously this will take us to our extras menu. So we're going to go extra menu toggle. We're going to go over to new condition, the mouse pointer and keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object with the left button or whatever button you want. And I'm just going to go over to extras toggle. Press OK. And then once you have that selected, go over to the storyboard controls, right click, jump to frame, extras menu. So can you guys stop? What are y'all doing? Okay, they're like mean mugging each other. Anyway, we're gonna run application, and this should automatically work, because if we go over to our extras and then we click on it, boom, it takes us to this white screen. And you might be like, whoa, what's going on? Why is there a white screen? Well, you gotta remember that we didn't insert anything into our extras menu. So even if you run the extra menu frame, it's gonna look white. So that means it works. If you ran the application and you press extras and it takes you to a white screen, that means it worked, because there's nothing in our extras menu. It's just a white screen. But before we actually get over to the extras menu, because we already have a toggle, so you can pretty much access the extras menu. But if you're like, well, I want the players to actually access the extras menu after they beat the game, well, first of all, you would need to at least have some knowledge on how the night verification counter works, and also how the INI works. So you need to be able to make sure that you have watched the INI tutorial first, because it's one of my previous tutorials that teaches you how to save your game and stuff like that. And it's recommended to watch that before this, because if you haven't inserted an INI or knife verification, God help you, because I am not teaching you all that right now. But if you have that, then just go over to your event editor, go over to new condition, or actually no, don't go over to new condition, go over to user clicks on the extras toggle, and we're gonna go right click in. What are you munching on? Go insert, go over to night verification, click on it, compare the count to a value when it is greater than, where is it? Greater than 5. So pretty much when you beat night 5, you can access the extras menu, which obviously my night verification is set to 6 right now, so that means I can click on it. I ran the frame, my bad. If I run the application and I click on it, as you can see, it's set to 6 right now, so that means I can click on it, and boom, I'm already sent to here. So it works. But if I go over to my FNaF application and I just change it really quick to, let's say, night 3, and then I exit out of this, save it, then I go back into it, and then I just run the application, I can't click on it now because, well, I can't see it, I can't click on it because my night verification is set to 3 and not above 5. Additionally, if you're like, well, okay, cool, they can't click on it until they beat the game, but I want to keep the extra as a surprise. I want to make it so that when you unlock the extras menu, it's a surprise, like, oh, you unlocked something new, and I don't want that to be visible to anybody who hasn't beaten the game. So if you want to do that, go over to new condition, storyboard controls, start a frame, right click, insert, night verification, compare the count to value when it is lower or equal than 5, and we're going to just drag this to the top. And at the start of the frame, when the night verification is lower or equal than 5, we're going to go over to our extras title, and we're going to go right click, visibility, invisible. So if I run the frame, it shouldn't be visible for me. And as you can see, it's not. And the reason it's not visible for me is because, well, I'm only on night 3. But if I go back out, I go over to my FNaF application, I double click into it, and I just change the night to 6, for example, and I save it, and I go back into it, boom, it should automatically be there, and I can also click on it as well, which works. But obviously we have to make it reappear, or actually no, we don't have to make it reappear because it's already right here. Because at the start of the frame, we don't make it just reappear because it already appears automatically, you know what I mean? Obviously it turns invisible when the INI is set to 5 or below, because, you know, you're on pretty much night 5 and under, which means you can't access or see the extras menu. So you pretty much got the section done. Now we're actually going to go work on the extras menu. So go over to your extras menu, and this is where the fun can begin. So we're going to go right click, insert object, active, and this is just going to be our background. We got to start slow. Can't go right to it. Just gotta go background. I know so many people are so excited. You can just hear my voice right now. Background, and obviously if you have a pre-made background, you can just insert it. But I don't have a pre-made background, so I'm just gonna paint my background black. So I'm just gonna change the size of this really quick to 1280 by 720, because that's the size of my application. Apply, and then I'm just gonna paint it black. Nope, that is red. There we go. Press OK. And then I am just going to go align it to frame, and there we go. So now my background is black, and now we're going to insert a lot of things. So we're going to go new layer, and I'm actually going to lock the first layer so I can't click on the background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to layer 2, and I'm going to go right click, insert object, and I'm going to insert a string. This is where the extras menu can really begin, and our first step is to actually kind of get everything in the frame, and then we're going to organize it, or yeah, we're going to organize like all of our words and stuff, and then we're going to see if it kind of works. So I have a string right here, and this is where the fun can really begin. So we're going to go over to text options, just change the color to white, or whatever you want. You don't have to change it to white. I'm going to change it to terminal. I'm going to change this to 20. Once again, if you have like a size that you want, a font that you want, you don't have to follow exactly everything I'm doing, but I have that. And of course, I'm going to just stick it right here. and I'm gonna rename this to animatronics string. Animatronics string. Cool. And then I'm just gonna type into it animatronics. And obviously, as the title implies, this is where you can see the animatronic cast. But additionally, what I want to do is I want to make it so that whenever you click on animatronics, or any section for that matter, I want to make it so that it has it selected. It shows that, hey, you do have this selected. So to do that, go over to animatronics, or to whatever you named your first layer. It doesn't have to be animatronics. Go over to settings and properties, and then where it says paragraph 1 animatronics, just copy that, and then go over to new, and then we're gonna just paste that into paragraph 2, but we're gonna also space, and then just have an arrow to the left, because that means that you have it selected. And obviously it'll stay at paragraph 1 where you don't have it selected, but when you do, it'll set it to 1, or it'll make it selected, which is cool. So that's pretty much done. And what I'm actually going to do is I am going to cut down time, obviously, because this is a tutorial. I'm going to just go right click, and I'm going to clone the object, and I'm just going to press OK. So cloning the object, if I haven't talked about it before, basically cloning the object is kind of like copy and pasting the object without copying any of its code. It copies the shape of it, but it doesn't necessarily copy anything else. It's like plagiarism, for example. Except when you copy and paste, that's what I consider plagiarism. But if you just clone it, it's like kind of plagiarism. You're copying the shape of it, or actually I call it inspiration. You copy the shape of it, but you're not copying anything else. You're just copying the shape of it. And obviously, as you can see right here, it is titled animatronic string 2. But if you copy and pasted it, actually, I'll just show you right now. So if you copy and pasted this, right? As you can see, this is called animatronic string, right? But if I change the name of one of them, for example, I'm just gonna say Goofy Goober, for example, should be like Goofy. As you can see, the top one's also gonna be changed to Goofy. If I rename the top one to Goober, the bottom one's also going to be renamed to Goober, because it's all one object. It's that there's just 2 of them now. But if you clone it, it only copies the shape of it and not anything else. That's why it's called animatronic string 2 instead of just animatronic string, because it's 2 separate objects. Get what I mean? I hope you do. So I'm going to rename this to jump scares. Jump scares are my next section. Obviously, you don't have to literally copy everything I'm doing. For example, all my sections are going to be called something different. The top one's going to be animatronics, another one's going to be jump scares, another one's going to be concept art, and another one's going to be a thank you note. And obviously you don't have to copy everything I'm doing, right? But this is just basic stuff. So just jump scare string, and I'm just going to type into this jump scares. Cool. And just like animatronics, I'm going to select this, go over to properties, and then go over to settings, and where it says paragraph 1 jump scares, copy this, and then go over to paragraph 2, and instead of saying animatronics with an arrow pointing to the left, we're actually just gonna say jump scares, but there's an arrow pointing to the left. So that means you have it, you have jump scare selected. And then I'm gonna clone this again, and this is gonna be for my 3rd section, which is going to be concept art. I was gonna say custom night, but it's concept art. So I'm just gonna rename this to concept art. Concept art. Straight. And then I am just gonna go over to properties. Gonna go over to settings. And then in my paragraph 1, I forgot to double click into it and change the name of it. But in my paragraph 1, I'm just gonna type in concept art. Or, type in concept art, and it just changes it here. Obviously, you can either just double click into it and then change the name of it, or you can actually select it, go down to settings, and then go to your paragraphs, and then just type it in like that. So, a little tip for me. So then after you have that, copy concept art, go to paragraph 2, and then just paste concept art with an arrow pointing to the left now, which means you have to select it. I don't know how many times to repeat that. And then we're gonna do this one more time, clone object, and then I'm gonna go rename, And I'm gonna rename this to thank you string. So this is just for like, you know, thank you for playing the game. Thank you for the support over the years. You know, basic shit. And then I am just gonna go type into this thank you note. Ooh, that's actually too long now, so I have to expand that. There we go. And obviously, like the rest of them, go over to your settings and properties and just copy down paragraph 1. And then in paragraph 2, just go paste. And be sure to paste that before the arrow. So then there's an arrow pointing to the left, which means you have it selected. And then the last thing I'm actually going to insert is an exit. Just an exit sign so that you can actually go back to the menu. And I'm going to go... Actually, I'm just going to insert a string by itself. I don't really want to copy that. So string, okay. I'm going to title this exit string. I'm going to go over to text options. Just change the color to whatever you like. Change the font. And then just change the font. Go over to change the size. Boom. Increase the size of it. And then just type in exit. Or like back to menu, whatever you want. Once again, it doesn't have to be like literally everything I'm doing. You can spice it up a bit. You can do whatever you want for the extras menu. And there we go. I'm gonna have an exit right down here, and then I'm just gonna put them right up here. I think that looks pretty good. I really like this so far. I think this worked extremely well. Obviously, you can lay this out however you want. It doesn't have to be in the way that I lay it out. But obviously, like you can have all your strings over here. Like you can have it over here. You can have it down here. You know, I don't know why anybody would have it down here. Like I've never seen one in the bottom right, but if you want it, you can have it there. Additionally, it doesn't have to be strings. Like it can be like actual active objects. It's just that I don't have any active objects. Like I don't have like a pre-made sign for each one. But if you do, then you could just insert an active object and kind of do it the same way that I've been doing it for strings. You just do it however you like. But the next step we're going to do is we're going to insert toggles for every single one of these. So kind of like in the menu tutorial where we had a toggle for every single letter or word on there, we're going to do the same thing for all of these. So I'm just going to go right click, insert object, and I'm just going to insert a bunch of toggles. So I'm going to go active, and I'm going to title this animatronic toggle. There we go. And then I'm going to increase the size of this and then put this down here. I'm going to just overlap this over my actual animatronic string. And then I am going to double click into this. And I'm just going to paint this a solid color, because obviously if you have it as just like a rhombus, and you can click on the transparent stuff and it doesn't make fun, whatever. But after you have that, then what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to clone this, and then I'm just going to put this in front of my jump scares, and then just decrease the size of this a bit. And I'm going to rename this to jump scare toggle, or jump scares toggle, since it's small. Jump scares toggle. And then I'm going to clone this again for my concept art. Put it right down here. And then I'm just going to overlap this with concept art. Rename this to concept art. What? Why am I spelling it all wrong? Concept art toggle. And then I am going to clone this one more time actually no, I'm going to clone this 2 more times, but for now I'm going to clone this 1 more time. And then overlap this over my thank you note. Rename this to thank you toggle. There we go. And then we are legitimately we're cloning this 1 more time for the exit. So then I'm just going to put this right here. Right down here. And then I'm just going to rename this to exit toggle. There we go. And obviously, if you're like, well, I can't see the words, I can't see my words, then you can just go over, select every single one of these, and then go over to display options. And then scroll down to see blend coefficient. And you can change this to whatever you want. 0 is the most visible, and 255 is the least visible. So as you can see, these are solid colors at 2 right now, but if I change this to 255, boom, they are invisible. But obviously, if you were like, actually, I want to see my toggle and then you can just change this in between any number you want. So I'm just gonna put like 200. So obviously you can kind of see the toggle, and you can also kind of see the string as well. But I'm gonna make mine just completely invisible, which is 255, because I think that looks a lot better. So there we go. So I think this looks a lot better. And now we're going to insert 2 counters to just kind of prove that this works. So we're gonna go over to insert object. We're gonna go over to counter. And the first counter we're going to insert, we're gonna call section counter. So this is obviously for every single section, your animatronics, your jump scares, your concept art. Obviously this just helps. And then once you have that, I'm actually, gonna go into it, and I'm going to just change the color of these to white, or whatever color you want. I'm gonna change it to white. Boom, boom. There we go. Change them all to that. Also, and also gonna put it down here as well, just to see it. So we have that. And then I'm going to clone this, or you don't have to clone it, but I'm just gonna do it because it saves time. But you can also like insert. You can also like insert your own counter and do it that way. They're pretty much identical. But instead of it being called section counter 2, I'm going to call this what? I actually have no idea what I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna call this just like display counter. So this kind of displays which area I'm looking at, I guess. Display counter. There we go. And yeah, we pretty much have that done. Now, what we're gonna do first is I want to go over and actually kind of do a little test to see that whenever you click on each of these, it has them selected. Each part, like whenever you click on animatronics, the section counter equals 1. When you click on jump scares, section counter equals 2, and stuff like that. We have to get the boring stuff out of the way in order to get to the good stuff, which is like actually importing our animatronics, actually importing our jump scares, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go over to event editor, and I am going to insert a group of events, and I'm just gonna title this sections. Right, so I'm gonna call it sections. Go over to new condition. Go over to user clicks. The mouse pointer and keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object with the left button, and I'm going to click on my animatronic toggle first, and whenever you click on that, go over to our section counter and set the counter to 1. And then we're gonna go over to new condition, the mouse pointer and keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object, okay. And then we're going to go over to our jump scare toggle. And then we're going to go over to our section counter, right click, set counter to 2. Go over to new condition, the mouse pointer and keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object, okay. We're going to go over to our concept art toggle. And then I'll go over to my section counter, right click, set counter to 3. And you can kind of see where this is going. And then go over to new condition. The mouse pointer keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object, okay. Thank you toggle. Then go over to our section counter, right click, set counter to 4, and then for shits and giggles, I'm just gonna go over to new condition. User clicks on the mouse pointer keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object, and then this is just gonna be on my exit toggle. So obviously I can just like exit out whenever I want to, which really should have just done this at the end of the tutorial, but obviously you want an exit sign, and then whenever you click on exit, you go to storyboard controls, right click, jump to frame, menu. So then I'm just gonna prove this really quick, just see if this works. Just go run application, go over to extras. As you can see, now we're in an extras menu, and if I click exit, boom, back to reality. So it works. It works pretty efficiently in my mind. But now, obviously, you have the counters working, right? And if you go run the frame, you can click on each one and it changes the counter, which means you're looking at a different section. Very, very nice. But obviously, there's an issue automatically when you run the frame. and that is that this counter is automatically set to 0, and obviously there is not a section that is equal to 0. So, and whenever you click on this, obviously it'll show it, but I think at the start of the frame, I want to automatically set the counter to like 1, so that they can automatically see the animatronics whenever they load into the night, you know what I mean? So, to do this, just go over to New Condition, Storyboard Controls, Start a Frame. I'm going to drag this to the top, go over to my section counter, right click, set counter to 1. So automatically it'll be looking at my animatronics whenever I load the frame. So, there we go. Now we got the section counter working, but obviously I want to make sure that they are selected. So I want to make sure that you can see that they are selected. So to do this, to kind of show that they are selected, we already have a paragraph in each area that shows that, hey, you do legitimately have this selected. Well, obviously that was in my paragraph 2 for each one. So we have that working, but now all we gotta do is just kind of show that it's working. So we want to go over to New Condition, go over to Section Counter, compare the counter value. We're gonna set 1, and when the counter is set to 1, go over to the why are these? Oh, I kept Goober. I kept Goober. Go over to your animatronic string, right click, and then go over to set paragraph to 2. And then what you want to do is you want to copy this so that when it is different than 1, then you go over to set paragraph to 1, because when it's not selected, it should automatically go back to 1. And then we're going to run the frame just to see if this works. And as you can see right now, it is selected because it is set to 1, but if I click off it, boom, it's not selected no more. But if I keep going back to it, it'll select it, which is nice. So it is working, and now we just have to apply it to all of our other all of our other sections. So let's start on our new section, which is going to be jump scares. So we're going to go over to New Condition, Section Counter, compare the counter value when it is set to 2, and we're just going to go over to our jump scare string now. Right click, set paragraph to jump scares. Nope, wait, no. When it's selected, we want to go over to set paragraph to 2 instead of 1, because obviously that shows that it is selected. Sorry if I confused you guys. We want to display paragraph 2. And then obviously we want to copy this and negate the second one so that it shows that, hey, you're not selecting it. So then go over to jump scare string, right click, set paragraph to 1, which shows that you're not on it. And then, then go over to New Condition, Section Counter, compare the counter to a value. We're going to set this to 3 now, do this for the concept art string. So we're going to set paragraph for when it is selected to paragraph 2. And then we're going to copy this, negate the second one, and then edit the display paragraph 2 so that is instead paragraph 1. And there we go. And then we're going to do this one more time with the fourth one, or how many sections you have. So I'm going to go section counter, compare the counter value when it's equal to 4. Then the thank you note string is going to be set to paragraph 2. And then we want to copy and paste this. Whoa, what did I just do? Go to I gotta go back to it. And then we want to negate the second one and then edit the display paragraph 2 so that now it instead says paragraph 1. There we go. So now this should work for every single one of them. So obviously I have my animatronic selected, and then I go over to jump scares, boom, I have that selected, concept art, boom, and then we have every single one of these selected, which is great. So now that works great. But now we want to work on the section counter, or the display counter. So basically, we're going to have like an arrow down here, so, a couple arrows actually, so that you can just scroll to the right and whatever, and then, you can just show each part of your extra thing. So I think we're gonna do that next. So I'm gonna just exit out of this. So what we're gonna do next is we are now going to insert some arrows at the bottom of our extras menu so you can actually go through the extras in every section in the extras. So basically all we're doing is just testing out the display counter and just seeing if that works. So the next step obviously is to insert your arrows. So I'm gonna go right click, insert object, inactive, and it's almost like the sister location extras menu where it's arrows. I know in like FNaF 3, I'm pretty sure it has like numbers at the bottom, which would make it a lot easier, but I don't really like the FNaF 3 extra type style because I don't know. I kind of like the arrows a lot more. But and obviously that's what we're doing now. So I'm gonna insert my arrow. There we go. And you want to make sure to insert one arrow and then like your left arrow, and just rename it to left arrow real quick. And then what are y'all doing? And then I'm gonna clone this, press OK, put this towards the right, and I'm going to rename this to right arrow. Right arrow. And I'm actually just gonna go in and just flip this real quick because I did not make a right arrow. There we go. Okay. Alright, nice. So there are my arrows down there. Obviously you can't click on them yet, but eventually we are going to be able to click on them, and they are not centered, which is making me mad. Unless I actually do this, where I just put them like in the corner. I've seen a couple extras menu do this, or extra menus do this, and I think it looks spiffy. Just put them like down here, and then you can just switch that way. I don't know. I think it looks pretty nice. Obviously, you can customize this however you want. You don't have to customize it the way I do, but I do think this looks a little stylish down here. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now, we can do the display options and do the display thingy and whatever. So, what I'm going to do and how this really is... What are you doing? Goddamn guinea pigs make so much noise. So, how this really is going to work is basically whenever I click on one of these sections, this counter right here is going to go to 1. It's just automatically going to go back to 1. And then whenever I click the right arrow, this is going to add to 1. And then when I press the left arrow, this is going to subtract the 1. And when the counter is lower than 1, it stays at 1. And when it's higher than however many sections you want in each, or however many like things you want in each section is how much the maximum is going to be. I know that sounds really confusing, but I'll obviously tell you guys as we go along. But let's get these arrows to work. So I'm going to go over to Event Editor, and I am just going to make a new group of events, and I'm going to title this, what am I going to call it? Display Options. There we go. Display Options, I think that looks cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to New Condition. I'm going to go over to the mouse pointer and keyboard, the mouse. User clicks on an object, with left button, yes. We're going to go left arrow, and whenever you click on the left arrow, you go over to the, we're going to go over to the display counter, excuse me, and go right click, subtract from counter, 1. Awesome. And then we're going to go new condition, the mouse pointer keyboard, the mouse, user clicks on an object, press OK, the right arrow, and then, believe it or not, we're going to go over to our display counter, right click, add to counter, 1. So basically, to show that this works, we're just going to go over to run frame. If I press the right arrow, it adds to 1. If I press the left arrow, it goes back down to 0. But obviously, as you guys can see, or actually you guys can barely see, if I press the arrow enough times, it goes into the negative. So obviously it's at 0 right now, but you can just barely see the negative right there. It has like the little minus sign right here is going into the 1. That means it's in the negative right now. And if I keep going to the right, obviously it'll go on infinitely, and I don't really want it to go on infinitely. I want it to stop at a certain point because, for example, I have, as of right now, 7 animatronics in my game, right? So if I want to make sure that whenever I go over 7, it stays at 7. So for example, if I'm like at 8, it'd go back to 7. If I'm at 9, it goes back to 7. If I go up to 12 or 13, it goes back to 7, you know what I mean? And in jump scares, I have 6 jump scares in my game. So obviously, I want to make sure that any number above 6 stays at 6, you know what I mean? And of course, every single one of them obviously has, like, if you go lower than 1, it stays at 1, you know, just basic stuff like that. So we're going to make that work. Obviously, we're going to go over to new condition, display counter, compare the counter to your value. When it is lower or equal than 1, then we're going to go over to the display counter and set the counter to 1. Pretty basic stuff. And I'm actually going to go over to user clicks on all of these like strings, the animatronic toggle, the jump scare toggle, the concept art toggle, all of that, and go over to display counter and go right click, set counter to 1. And then just drag that down to all of the user clicks on the toggles, except for exit. You don't really have to do it for exit, but just to the like the main 4, you know what I mean? And this is just because it makes it easier for me, because if you're like, okay, but I don't really want it to go back to 1 whenever you click on new sections, because, you know, you can kind of save the progress in the extras menu. It's a lot more work, and as of right now, you can probably learn that on your own, but I'm making this as a tutorial, and I'm trying to go as fast as possible, and this is already going over 30 minutes, and this is just an extras menu, so you know what I mean? So I'm gonna just go in, run frame, and as you can see, the number is set to 1. If I press the left arrow, it doesn't go back. Yeah, it doesn't go back. And if I just go forward and then I go back, you can't go back. And that's good. And if I set this to 4 and I go to jump scares, boom, back to 1 right here. And this number obviously goes to 2 because that is a brand new section. So as of right now, it's working. But now is where we get to kind of the confusing stuff in a way. And I think as of what I want right now, I want to make the arrows kind of disappear, all depending on like how many sections we're in, obviously. So this is kind of before you insert everything. So you kind of have to do like a mental note. Obviously, if you need to like insert the stuff first and then like do the counter and, you know, clicking the arrows and stuff, you can do that. It's just going to be a lot more cluttered and it might be harder to see. But as of right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that the arrows disappear all depending on what counter it's at. So for example, in animatronics, right, I have 7 animatronics in my game. So if I go over to 7, I want my right arrow to disappear completely. I want my right arrow to disappear. But if I go over to the left arrow and it's at 1, I want my left arrow to disappear. You know what I mean? I kind of want it to work that way, and that's kind of why I mean, like, if you want to insert all of your stuff first and then, you know, do the whole like arrow disappear thing, I understand that, because obviously if you're trying to do like a mental note of how many stuff you want in like your concept art, for example, then obviously that is going to be an issue. And obviously in my thank you note, there's going to be absolutely like no arrows, so it's a lot. And I'm gonna do the arrows first, but if you want to insert all of your stuff, what I would recommend is you insert every single part of your extras in a separate layer. So for example, in layer 3, my animatronics are going to go in layer 3, my jump scares are going to go in layer 4, my concept art is going to go in layer 5, and my thank you note is going to go in layer 6, just so that helps with the extras menu. But I'm going to work in the arrows first. So this is obviously if you have a mental note of how much stuff you want in your extras menu. So in my animatronics, I have 7 animatronics. So when this counter equals 7, I want my right arrow to disappear. In jump scares, I have 6 jump scares in my game, so I want the right arrow to disappear whenever this number equals 6, which means we're at the 6th jump scare. I have 10 concept art, so I want to go over to this counter, and when it equals 10, I want to make sure that my right arrow disappears. And for my thank you note, I want all of my arrows to disappear. Makes sense? Hopefully. So we're going to go over and do that now. So I am going to go over to my event editor, and from the event editor, the first objective we need to do is we need to go over to where it says the display counter is lower than equal than 1. I'm going to go over to the left arrow, go right click, visibility, make object invisible. Just to dip our toes into the whole making arrows disappear type thing, you know what I mean? So as of right now, if you run the frame, the left arrow is gone because you are on the first object, which means you obviously can't go over and, you know, do that whole thing. And you can't click on it either because any number... What are y'all doing? Okay. Okay. Anyway, on any number under 1 is going to be set to 1. So it's like you can't really subtract it. And it obviously, The problem now is, yes, it disappears whenever it equals 1, but it doesn't reappear whenever you click anything else. That's an issue. So to fix that, we want to go over to where it says the display counter is lower than equal than 1, and we want to go to new condition and make it so that the display counter is different than 1. So basically when it's any number besides 1. So we're going to go over to new condition, display counter, create the counter value. When it is different than 1, we want to go over to our left arrow, right click, visibility, make object reappear. So now it should work. So if we run the frame and we press the right, boom, arrow reappears. Awesome. And obviously if I go to 1, it disappears. And then if I go to 2 or anything above that, boom, here. So it works now. So that is great. And now is where we're probably going to get to the tough part, which is trying to actually get this whole process to work. So we obviously want to insert, like I said before, I have 7 animatronics, 6 jump scares, 10 concept art, 10 concept arts, and obviously I want my arrows to disappear whenever they get to the highest point. So for example, when this counter equals 7 in animatronics, I want the right arrow to disappear. And that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to go out of this. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to go over to new condition. And obviously this is all depending on how many animatronics you have in extras, how many jump scares you have. So don't follow literally everything I'm doing. Just kind of go off of how much stuff you have in the extras. So I'm going to go over to section counter, compare the constant value. When it is equal to 1, which means I'm in animatronics, and then I go over, right click, insert, then I go over to the display counter, compare the counter to a value. When it is greater or equal than 7, which means that that's my last animatronic, which is the puppet that you'll see in the extras, and I press OK. Then I am going to go over to the right arrow, right click, visibility, make object invisible. So this will make the object invisible. But once again, the same issue is, yes, it works whenever you go over to 7, right? It works, you know. Oh, it's gone. But there's 2 issues now. 1, it doesn't reappear whenever you go back. And 2, you can still add on to it, which is an issue. But to make this kind of work, or to make it like not make it clickable, the right arrow, we want to make it so that whenever the user clicks on the right arrow, we want to go right click, insert, the right arrow, visibility is right arrow visible, which means that you can only click on it when it's visible. So if I go back and I'm like, oh, I'm moseying through my animatronics, and then I go over to 7, boom, it's invisible. But if I click on it, I can't add on to it. Additionally, you could also do like when the when the display counter is equal to 7, and then you go over to your display counter and then just go set counter to 7, and that'll also work too, because obviously if you click on it and any number above 7 is just going to be set back to 7, so either way it's going to stay invisible and stay at 7. But you could also do it kind of like in this way, where like you can only click on it when it's visible. I'm just showing you guys both sides. Alright, whichever side sounds easier. Me personally, I like the counters more, but whichever side sounds easier, it sounds easier. So anyway, after you have that done, we need to make it reappear, obviously, when you go any number besides 7. So obviously to do that, we want to go to new condition, section counter, compare the counter to a value. When it is equal to 1, then we go right click, insert, display counter, compare the counter to a value. When it is different than 7, want to go over to the right arrow, right click, visibility, make object reappear. I'm actually going to save real quick because Clickteam is lagging out a lot and I do not want it to crash on me. But this should work because any number above 7 or equal or above 7 is going to be invisible, but any number beside 7 is going to make the right arrow disappear. And we have to do this for the rest of them too, but to prove that this works, want to go over and boom, it disappears. We can't click more. Then you go back, excuse me, boom, it reappears, and now you have a full functioning arrow system for one section, because we do have to do the others too. So Then we go over to 1, and then the arrows disappear, and then, oh, how mighty unfortunate. So, anyway, we're going to go back, and now we're going to work on the second section. So, we're going to go over, and obviously we don't have to worry about, like, when the counter's lower or equal than 1, because we already have that, so we don't have to worry about that. But my maximum number in jump scares is going to be 6 this time, because I only have 6 jump scares. I can't go above 6 if I don't have more than 6 jump scares, you know what I mean? So, we want to go over to new condition, go over to the section counter, compare the counter to a value, and this time we're going to type in 2, because obviously it's 2. It's 2, you can't click on it, that's my jump scares, 2. And then we want to go right click, insert, display counter, compare the counter to a value, and when it is greater or equal than 6, then we're going to go over to the right arrow, right click, visibility, make object visible. And of course, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go over to new condition, section counter, which section 2 is my jump scares. So in section 2, then I go right click, insert, display counter, compare the counter to a value. When it is different than 6, which is any number besides 6, then we're going to make the right arrow reappear. So now this should work. So if I run the frame and then I go over, I'm actually going to full screen for this one because I'm feeling different. Go over to jump scares. As you can see, left arrow is gone. Oh, my left arrow. And then I clicked on the right. As you can see, it works. But when it reads 6, boom, it's gone. But then I go back. Boom, it reappears. And obviously this all works up here and this all works down here. So cool, we have this working for the jump scares, and now we're gonna do it for the concept art. And in my concept art, obviously I have 10, so it's a lot more, but it's not too much more. So it's pretty much the same thing. New condition, section counter, compare the counter to a value, section 3 this time, which is my concept art. Then I go right click, insert, display counter, compare the counter to a value. When it is greater or equal than 10, because I have 10 concept arts, obviously you guys could have more, you could have less. I'm gonna go over to right arrow, right click, visibility, make object invisible. Then I'm gonna go over to new condition, section counter, compare the counter to a value, 3, and then I'm gonna go right click, insert, display counter, compare the counter to a value, when it is different than 10. And then obviously when it's different than 10, go over to the right arrow, right click, visibility, make object reappear. Awesome. So this should work now. If I go to concept art, boom, section 3, obviously the arrow is going to disappear at 1, or the left arrow is going to disappear at 1. Then I keep clicking, and then at 10, it's gone, and then I go back, boom, it reappears, and I can't click on. Cool. So it also works that way as well. So now that we have that done, the only section now that we have to work on is my thank you note. But the thing about my thank you note is it's just 1 page of notes. So I don't have any more than 1 page, which means that I want both of my errors to disappear. So I'm going to go over to event editor. I'm going to go over to new condition, go over to my section counter, compare the counter to value. And this is obviously if you have like a 1-page thank you note like I do, or just, I don't know, like staff or whatever, but I'm going to go over. When it's equal to 4, which is my thank you note, I'm going to go over to my left arrow. I'm going to go right click, visibility, make object invisible, and then go over to my right arrow, right click, visibility, make object invisible. And I believe this should work. I may have messed it up, but if I go over to my thank you note, boom, no arrows, I can't click on any of them. And then I go back to my concept art, for example, my arrows reappear just as normal. But obviously if I go over to my thank you note, which has no pages in it, it disappears. But everything should work. So now we have the arrows done for each of our sections. And now the last part is actually showing each part of the extras, my animatronics, my jump scares, my concept art, my thank you note, stuff like that. So now we're gonna work on that as of right now. So the first step is we want to go back to our frame editor, and obviously you guys may or may not have done this already, but I'm going to go. Why are y'all yelling at me? I didn't even do anything. I'm not feeding you. I feed them, by the way. Like, don't. That sounded bad. I feed my guinea pigs. They're just being loud. Anyway, so I'm going to insert a new layer. And in layer 3, I'm going to just insert my animatronics first, because I think that is the best move. So I'm going to go insert object, active, okay. And I am just going to rename this to animatronics. And there we go. Then I'm going to double click into it. And then I spelled animatronics wrong. I spelled it without an I. I'm going to just import all of my animatronics. So I'm going to just insert my Freddy. Looking snazzy. I should have put a top hat on him, but I just did not want to do that. Go over to Bonnie. There we go. There we go. Go to new frame. Get my Chica. You guys are watching all this, by the way. Get my Chica. There we go. Right click, insert new frame. Get my Foxy. Cool. Then I'm gonna go new frame. Get my Golden Freddy. Where are you at though? Golden Freddy. You can see how much detail I put on this compared to regular Freddy. I just made him yellow. New frame. Gonna insert my Springtrap. Where are you at? Springtrap. Cool. And then I'm gonna go new frame. And then get, I think I inserted the wrong Golden Freddy. I'll fix that. And then I'm going to insert my puppet. There we go. Did I mess this up? I think he's way bigger than he should be. Hold on, let me just fix Golden Freddy real quick. Freddy, you're too fat for the frame. You gotta calm down a little bit. Alright. Alright, there we go, yeah. Okay, and obviously once you insert everything, just go back and then go to View Hotspot, hold down Alt, and then press the middle square and View Hotspot, I just said that. And then you should be good. And now you can just stick your animatronics wherever you want. So I'm gonna just stick them right here. And what we're going to do is, all depending on which frame is showing is what animatronic is showing. So for example, in my display counter, when the counter is equal to 1, it'll show Freddy. When the counter is equal to 2, it'll show Bonnie. When it's equal to 3, Chica. 4, Foxy, you know, on and on. But additionally, I want a string that also says each of the animatronics name, just so that you know each of the animatronics name. So I'm going to go right click, insert. Obviously this is optional, you do not have to have this, but I just think I'm going to have this anyway because I think it's cool. I'm going to rename this just to animatronic names. There we go. I never expected a an extras menu tutorial to be so long. I really thought this tutorial was going to be like at least like 20 minutes. I forgot how complex this all is. But anyway, get my size 20. I'm going to increase the size of this a lot. And I'm actually going to put this in the center alignment. And I'm going to put this up here or down here. I think I'm going to put this down here because I think it actually looks a lot better down here. And obviously, since there are multiple animatronics, that means I want multiple paragraphs. So in my animatronic names, just be sure to select it, go over to properties, go over to settings, and I am going to insert a bunch of paragraphs for all of my animatronic names. So obviously, paragraph 1 is going to be Freddy, which should automatically fill right here. There we go. And then paragraph 2 is going to be Bonnie. And obviously, once again, there's 7 paragraphs because the counter only goes up to 7, and obviously there's 7 animatronics. The counter only goes up to 7 paragraphs, 7 animatronics, stuff like that. Paragraph 3, I want Chica. Excuse me. Paragraph 4, I want Foxy. Paragraph 5, I want Golden Freddy. Paragraph 6, I want Springtrap. And then paragraph 7, Puppet. Cool. So all of my animatronic names are there now, and now we have to get this to work. And obviously this is just to kind of test out the thing, show you guys what it's like, and then just get it to work right away. So I'm going to go over to Event Editor, and what I'm actually going to do is I might insert a new group of events just to show off each part of the extras. So I'm going to go over, right click, insert a group of events, and I'm just going to title this I don't know, section display. How about that? Because each section displays something else, you know what I mean? So at this point, I want to go over to new condition, and in section counter, I want to go to compare the counter to value. When it is equal to 1, which is my animatronics, and then I go right click, insert, go over to display counter, compare the counter to value. When it is equal to 1, then I'm going to go over to my animatronics, right click, animation, change, animation frame to 0, which is the first frame. And then I want to go over to my animatronic names and go right click, set paragraph to 1, which is Freddy. So basically, what this does is, when this counter is equal to 1, in section 1, which is my animatronics, it'll show Freddy because he's the first animatronic, and then the name will also display Freddy because you're looking at Freddy. And it should automatically work. And as you can see, it works here right now. You can see Freddy. And obviously, as we keep going on in the animatronics section, this will be like Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, all of that. So that's the next step. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna get very what's the word? Tedious. It's gonna get very tedious. And to kind of cut down the time, I'm gonna go over and actually copy this code where it says section counter is equal to 1, when display counter is equal to 1. I want to copy that and I want to paste it. And then in the other one where it says display counter is equal to 1, I want to change that so that it is 2. And then I want to go over to my animatronics, go right click, and I want to edit this so now the animation frame is set to 1. And then I want to go over to the animatronic names and go right click, edit it, and go to paragraph 2, which is Bonnie. And this is just a faster way that I like to do it personally. And I'm going to go run frame, and this is automatically going to work too, because if I click right, boom, it shows Bonnie now. So the first one was Freddy, the second one is Bonnie. So it's already working, as you can see right now, and this is pretty much the whole process of getting all 7 of my animatronics in here. So I'm not really going to waste your time. I'm going to just walk you step by step through 2 more of these, and then you get the idea. You add as many as you want. So I'm just going to copy this, and instead change this number down here to 3, which is my display counter. And then I'm going to go over to animatronics, right click, edit it. Be sure not to just force animation frame, just be sure to edit it. And then force animation frame to 2. Then I'm going to go over to my animatronic names, right click, edit it, and select paragraph 3. And if I run the frame, boom, you know, Freddy, Bonnie, and now Chica. And then I'm going to do this one more time for you guys, and then insert Foxy. So I'm going to change this bottom number, which is my display counter, to 4. This means it's showing Foxy. Go over to my animatronics, and where it says force animation frame to 2, I'm going to go right click, edit, and force animation frame to 3 instead. Then go over to my animatronic names, and where it says display paragraph 3, we want to go right click, edit it, and instead display paragraph 4. So as you can see, this should now work for at least 4 of them. So I'm going to go over Freddy, we have Bonnie, we have Chica, and we have Foxy. And obviously as we go on, I'm going to insert my Golden Freddy, Spring Trap, all of that. Obviously I'm not going to show you the process in which I insert all of them right now. But now that you guys kind of get the idea of the section display for your animatronics, you guys can add as many as you want. I'm not going to hold your hand for this next part. Just pretty much do this, but just change the numbers in preceding order. And I'm also doing that because I want to cut down time on this video. I don't want this to be an hour long. And yeah, see you guys in a minute. Alright, and once you have all of your animatronics and stuff down, I am going to run the frame. And then obviously, all my animatronics should be here. So I'm going to X out. Whoa, nope. And as you can see, counter is equal to 1. We can see Freddy, then Bonnie, then Chica, then Foxy, then Golden Freddy, then Springtrap, and then the puppet. So, I don't know why I said the puppet like that, like I was disinterested, but we have the animatronics section working as of right now, which is great. But obviously, another issue is that, for one, if I just go to like, you know, Chica or Golden Freddy, I go to jump scares, they're still there. You know what I mean? It treats it as if it's a different section. Yes, excuse me, but for each section, my Golden Freddy is still going to be here. Like, in my concept art, I don't want Golden Freddy's ass to be here. In my thinking, you know, I don't want Golden Freddy to be here. Even though he was like one of the best parts about doing this tutorial series, I can't have him in my thank you note, you know what I mean? I don't want him there. So obviously, we want to go over to new condition. we want to go over to section counter, give it the count to value. When it is equal to 1, or actually, no, when it's not equal to 1, but when it's different than 1, you want to go different than 0, no. When it's different than 1 in your section counter, go over to animatronics, right click, visibility, make object invisible, and then go over to animatronic names, right click, and then go visibility, make object invisible, and now it should disappear whenever the counter is different than 1. But of course, to shoot you in the dick one more time, the animatronics do not reappear when you go back to section 1 when you came from a different section. And obviously to fix this, you want to go over to new condition, section counter, compare the count to value, when it is equal to 1, then go over to your animatronics, right click, visibility, make object reappear, and then go over to your animatronic names, right click, visibility, make object reappear. And then now this should work. So let me do this. So, oh, look at my animatronics. All right, let me see jump scares. Boom, they're gone. And I go back to animatronics. Boom, they're back. Cool. So we have that done, and now we're gonna work on the extras. So now we're gonna work on the jump scares, not the extras. We're gonna be working on the jump scares. So now we're gonna go back to frame editor, and now we're going to insert all of our jump scares. So open up a new layer like I did. I'm going to be inserting my jump scares on layer 4. And then I'm going to go right click, insert object, active, and these are all going to be my jump scares. I'm going to put all my jump scares into one active object. So I'm going to just call these jump scares. There we go. Double click into it, and now what we want to do is from here we want to go down over to the bottom left where it says animations. Now it may say animations and have all of these here, and if all of this is here, then just uncheck show all, because we don't really need to see all that. But for right now, in animations, we want to have an animation for all of our jump scares. So I'm going to go right click, new, and this animation is going to be just called Bonnie, because this is Bonnie's jump scare. So we're going to get Bonnie, and then in Bonnie, we want to go over to import, and then just insert your Bonnie jump scare, and then, or like your animatronic jump scare. And then once you have your jump scares in, go over to view hotspot, hold down Alt, and press the middle square. Perfect. And be sure not to get rid of stop, by the way. We want stop to be here for a specific purpose. And after you have that, after you have your Bonnie, then just import the rest of your jump scares in the same way we did with Bonnie. So we're going to go new. This one's going to be Chica. I'm going to insert my Chica jump scare, wherever she is, right there. Press OK. Put them all in. And then once you have all your jump scare frames in for your animatronic, go over to view hotspot, hold down Alt, and press the middle square. I'll do this one more time for Foxy, and then I'll do it all on my own. So I'm going to insert Foxy, my Foxy jump scare, and I'm going to import each jump scare frame. So where is my Foxy jump scare? Right here. There we go. So I have my Foxy jump scare. Once you have all your jump scare frames in, go to view hotspot, hold down Alt on your keyboard, and press the middle square. And then once you have that, just do that for the rest of your animatronics, and I will be back with you guys once you have all of your jump scares in there. Alrighty, and once you have all your jump scares in, we can just press OK, and boom, we're just gonna put them in our over here. So, oh, it shows it's showing stopped right now. That's actually not what we want. So for right now, actually do get rid of stop, because we do have to position the jump scares right now. Real quick. So just get rid of stopped. I know it said we shouldn't, but just get rid of stopped real quick, because we're gonna add it back anyway. But we want to position our jump scares first. So get rid of stop, get all your jump scares, and then press OK. And then boom, all of our jump scares are right here. And then just position them. I'm actually going to shrink mine because they're not going to fit all in the frame. So I'm going to probably just make it like that big. Alright. And once you have it in a spot that you like, be sure to go back into your jump scares and then go right click, new animation, and then call it stopped. So pretty much what we had at the top before, but we want it down here now. So stop. And that's all you want to do. Just have it as the rhombus. And then press OK. That's going to be useful because in my opinion, I think it's the easiest way to kind of learn how to do like how to loop each thing, like each jump scare. I don't know if it makes sense, but now kind of like what we did for the animatronics, we want to do the same thing for our jump scares. So we want to go over to event editor. We want to go over to new condition, go over to section counter, compare the count to a value. When it is equal to 2, which is my jump scares, right click, insert, display counter, compare the count to a value. When it is equal to 1, go over to your jump scares, right click, animation, change, animation change, animation sequence to Bonnie. Oh, and additionally, I think I might want a letter display at the top, kind of like down here with the animatronic names. I might have one up here for like my jump scares as well, which obviously it's the same process as like the animatronic names. So if you want to, you can do that as well. I should have done that, but I'm not going to do that. But for right now, let's just get the jump scares done. So when I go into this, the jump scare is going to play. So if I go over here, boom, the jump scare shows right here. And obviously the animatronics up here are done, and we'll be sure to get rid of them as well. So now that we got that done, we want to copy and paste this. And then in the second line of code right here, where it says section counter equals 2, display counter equals 1, we want to change the display counter. So instead of it being 1, we want to edit it so that now it is 2, which means that now we're on Chica's jump scare. And then we want to go over to change animation sequence to, you guessed it, Chica. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy this, change the bottom number this time to 3, or whichever, like, whatever position you have your display counter at, just change it to 3 now. And then I'm going to change the animation sequence. I want to edit that, so now it's going to show Foxy's jump scare. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but change the display counter to equal 4 this time. And then I'm going to want to change the animation frame to show Golden Freddy's jump scare. And then do the same thing for Springtrap. You get it. You get the process. Change the counter to 5. Go over to change animation sequence and go right click, edit it to Springtrap. And then of course we want to do one more for the puppet, not stopped, because that is going to be next, but we want to go over to 6, we want to change that, and then just change animation sequence to puppet. So once you have that done, now it should kind of work. So we want to go over to jump scares, and obviously it shows Bonnie right now, but if I click the right arrow, boom, Chica jump scare. If I click the right arrow, boom, Foxy jump scare. Click it again, oh, Golden Freddy jump scare. Springtrap jump scare. Puppet jump scare. And obviously we don't have like a jump scare for the stop, but the reason why I really wanted to add a stop in there is because if you go to animatronics, like right now I'm on Chica, right? I go out, go to animatronics, and then I go back to jump scares, it's gonna play Bonnie, right? But if I just stay on Bonnie and I go up to animatronics, and if I go back to jump scares, the jump scare doesn't play again. Except it does, kind of, but it skips to the last frame. But everything else works, it's just that whenever I'm at the first like display counter and the second section counter, go over to animatronics and I go back to jump scares, it stays at the last frame. And to fix this, we want to go up, way back up to where it says sections, and we want to go over to where it says user clicks on the jump scare toggle, and we want to go to the right, and where it says jump scares, we want to go right click, animation, change, animation sequence to stopped. And this should automatically make a loop of it now. So if I do this, I go over, as right now it plays because, you know, obviously we didn't fix anything for that, but if I go to jump scares, yup, it's not gonna play over again, because what's really happening is the jump scares, whenever I click jump scares, it flips to the stopped, which is my rhombus, right? But since the section counter is equal to 2 and my display counter is equal to 1, it automatically goes over to Bonnie now. So it works as a loop, and it doesn't show the stop fast enough, which is exactly what we want. So it works now. But now the next issue is that we want to be sure to actually make sure you can't see them when you're in every other tab, you know what I mean? So over in new condition, go over to the section counter, compare the count to a value. When it is equal to 2, go over to the jump scares, right click, animation, start, right click, visibility, make object reappear. And then we want to go over to new condition, section counter, compare the count to a value. When it is different than 2, then we want to go over to jump scares, right click, animation, stop, right click, visibility, make object invisible. So now this should hopefully work. So as you can see right now, oh, no jump scares. So then I go here, jump scares. Go back to animatronics, oh, nothing, oh, jump scares. You know what I mean? So now it does work. So that's great. So now we have all of our jump scares in there. We can go back up, go back down, and now we have that all working out just as planned. So now we got it working, which is great. So now that we have that working, I believe now we should work on concept art, which I believe is going to be a lot easier, but once again, you never know. Now for my concept art, it's really just, I actually don't have concept art at all. So I kind of have to make a string and pretend that I do. But if you have concept art, you want to make a new layer and then just insert your concept art, all of your concept art here. But for me, I'm actually going to hide these layers too. I don't have concept art, so I'm just going to insert a string that just says concept art because I'm lazy and I don't want to actually make concept art. So I'm just going to do this really quick. I'm going to have 10 quote-unquote concept arts, and just to kind of build more variety. So I need to size 10, you know. There we go. Oh, no, not size 10, size 20. And I'm just gonna add in a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna increase the size of this, change to the center. Then I'm just gonna go over to settings, and I'm just gonna make a bunch of paragraphs to show that, hey, you're on concept art 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know what I mean? So this is gonna be like concept 1. Oh, it's gonna be a long process. This boom. So I'll be right back. I'm just gonna get this done real quick and just get all these in. Obviously, during this time, get all of your concept art stuff in. This can either be like both letters and images, or only images. You know, you can call this like behind the scenes. It doesn't need to be concept art. I'm just gonna insert concept art because a lot of people have it in their fan games, just to show you that, hey, this is what happened during development, this is what's going on, you know what I mean? And while I was talking to you guys, I got all my concepts in. So there we go. So then we're just gonna stick it down like right here, and then we're gonna begin on the concept art section now. So obviously, like I said before, my concept art has 10 displays, and it has 10 like sections within it, right? And obviously it's all split up between like concept 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna go over to event editor, same as we did the other ones. I'm gonna go over to new condition, go over to the display counter. No, go over to section counter. Compare the count to a value when it is equal to 3, which is my concept art. I'm gonna save this really quick, and I'm gonna go right click, insert, display counter, 1. Then we want to go over to my string or your images, and then just insert. Oh, I didn't name the string, but I'm just gonna set my paragraph of my string to concept 1. I'm gonna copy this, change the bottom number right here, which is the display counter, to 2. And then I'm going to change my paragraph and show 2. Obviously, if you're doing like animation frames, pretty much do what you did for the animatronics, but instead just apply it to your just apply it to your concept art as well, if you know what I mean. But just like make the section counter obviously different than your animatronic counter, because then it's not gonna work. But I'll just show you guys this a little more. So I'm gonna just copy and paste this, and then over my display counter, I want to change this to 3 now. Then I want to go over to my display paragraph 2 over here, right click and edit it so that it is concept 3, and then so on and so forth, yada yada. You got it. Code that all in for you guys, and I will be back when you have all of your code in for all of your concepts, or behind the scenes, or whatever you're coding, or whatever you're adding in. And once you have all of your concepts in, now it should kind of work. Once again, we have to do the whole invisible reappear thing, but right now, if we go over, it should just appear. So concept art 1, right? I click right, boom, concept art 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can't go any further than that. So that's all my concept art. Obviously, if you have like images as well, it's very similar to your like animatronics over here, where it's like forced animation frame to this whenever the counter equals this. So really, it's like a copy and paste of the concept art if you are doing that. But as of right now, I'm just only doing strings for this. And as of right now, the only thing we have to do now for this is we have to make it obviously invisible when the counter is different than 3, and we need to make it reappear when the counter is equal to 3. So we want to go over to new condition, section counter, compare the counter to value when it is equal to 3. Go over to your string, right, or your console dart. Go right click, visibility, make object reappear. Then go over to new condition, display, section counter, compare the counter to value, and make it different than 3 this time. And then obviously when it's different than 3, go over to your console dart and go right click, visibility, and make object invisible. So now this should work as well. So I go over to console art, go right click on it, boom, see it, and then obviously I can't see it when I'm over jump scares, animatronics, anything like that. So that is very nice. So now that we have that done, now the only thing now that I have to do is just a thank you note, which obviously has literally like no code in it just because it is a thank you note. But obviously if your thank you note or anything like that has multiple pages, then obviously it's the same thing with the arrows, where it's like if it's lower, if like the display count is lower than equal to 1, it stays at 1. If it's above, like for example like 3, then it stays at 3, stuff like that. But for right now, you can't switch pages on this, and I will write you guys a very, very passionate thank you note. Just be sure to go to new layer, and I'm gonna hide my 5th layer, and this will be for my thank you note, and this will be the last thing we work on for the extras menu. So I will be right back. Alright, and there is my very passionate thank you note. Let me actually just rename this to thank you note. By the way, if you know the lyrics to this song, I love you. So, as of right now, obviously, this is my thank you note. And obviously, the only code we have to do for my thank you note is really just make it invisible and reappear, because obviously, like I said before, you can't see the arrows. So, yeah, let's do it. So, over a new condition, I want to go over to the section counter, compare the counter to value. When it is equal to 4, go over to your thank you note, or whatever you have, right click, invisibility, reappear, and then new condition, thank you note, no, section counter, compare the counter to value. When it is different than 4, obviously make it invisible. So I want to go thank you note, invisibility, invisible. So now your extras menu should be working now. So everything should be working. You can see your animatronics, you can see your jump scares, you can see your concept art, you can see your thank you note. And that should really be it for the tutorial. Obviously you can go through, go through like this. You can go through your jump scares, go through all your jump scares, go through your concept art, go through all your concept art, go through your thank you note, just read it. And then, that's pretty much it. And you can also access it as well if I can just run the application. And that should be pretty much it for the tutorial. I don't know why that's not showing up. Hold on. I didn't mess anything up, did I? Okay, no. Oh, yeah, because... Alright, obviously my MMF is way too low for me to actually access the thing, so let me just change it really fast. Alright, go down here. You're embarrassing me, game. Change the 9 to 6 just to prove that this works. And then I run the application, and obviously I can access my tutorial now. And then boom, tutorial. So the last thing you really have to do is just get the counters out of the way, and you have your completed extras menu. So I really do apologize for this tutorial being so goddamn long. Like, this is the longest tutorial, and I thought this was going to be really easy. I didn't know why this was going to be so hard, but honestly, I am probably one of the only Clickteam tutorial channels to actually lead you through, like, literally everything. People have even told me that. But yeah, this is your completed extras menu. I really do once again apologize for it being over an hour long. I will try for my tutorials not to be that long, but I hope you guys finish this video anyway, because I've seen a couple other a couple other tutorials. Like, I remember seeing this one extras menu tutorial, and it showed you the basics, how to like switch through your stuff like this, but it didn't show like the sections or whatever. And that's because like adding the sections and encoding all that is pretty tough. And I just want to say thank you guys for watching. The next tutorial we are going to do is going to be the custom night, which I'm not excited for because one, the way that I learned how to make custom night is really, really tedious, especially if you have a 1 to 20 like uh, build up or whatever. So I will try to find a way to make that easier and not as tedious. But if I can't find a way, uh, I'm sorry. For those who are more like experienced Click Team developers, I'm using the global value method where every time you add an AI level up, it adds one to a global value, which will be connected to a night. So pray for me, y'all. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you guys.